Hey, what's happening, guys? It's me, Cody B. It's been a long time since I've made a video or done a podcast or anything, but just wanted to make this video to let you guys know that we are back. And we are rebranding the channel, and we're going to be doing new things, not just the Grognar Grumbles. We're going to be doing a brand new podcast, as well as me possibly doing some live stream games with you guys from the community. And we're going to be talking about, or I'm going to be talking about, and me and Chase on the podcast, about games we like, old and new, and what we've been up to. And yeah, so I just wanted to give you an update of what's going on. So we're completely rebranding the channel, if you haven't noticed, for a couple reasons. One, when I started Grognar Grumbles, the podcast back during in 2020 during COVID, it turned into something I didn't really mean it to turn into. I didn't have any intention on doing an interview show. It just happened to turn out that way. The only problem with doing the interview show, even though I thoroughly enjoyed it, by the way, and I'm really happy we did it, only problem with doing that show was it was getting really hard to find people to interview. So it's kind of hard to do a show. So basically the show kind of just killed itself. I'm not saying we're not going to do that anymore. I would still like to interview people, but we probably will change the format of the podcast. It'll probably be mainly me and Chase talking about whatever the hell we want to talk about. Any kind of gaming or geek related stuff. And I think we're going to plan to do that every week. Also, I'm going to be posting a video myself, at least one, possibly more, depends on how busy I get. Sometimes my schedule gets a little overwhelming. Me just talking about whatever I want to talk about, mostly role-playing games and maybe some other types of gaming activities, because as you guys, or you may or may not know, but I'm also pretty heavy into miniature games and board games as well. So, but role-playing games are usually my main focus, and it'll probably be the focus of this channel. And so I'll just be talking about whatever I'm working on, games I like, why I like them. Pretty typical stuff that I was doing before. But so to sum it up, I'll be doing videos, we'll be doing the podcast, and some live stream games with hopefully you guys, the fans who want to join in that. And I will make announcements what I plan on running, and it'll be a first come first serve thing. If you guys are interested in something like that, just let me know in the comments, and I will make sure to, that'll give me some gauge on the interest of that sort of thing. So, what I've been up to, it's been a while. Well, I've been pretty busy. I haven't been doing a whole lot of gaming, in person or online or anything, for the past really year or so. Gaming's been pretty light. That's not to say I haven't been gaming, but it's just been a lot lighter than it usually was. My face-to-face group, which Chase is a part of, we kind of petered out a little bit. Everybody, anyways, I'm not going to go into it, but kind of petered out a little bit, unfortunately, and it's been downsized. We do still plan to get back to a regular face-to-face game, and probably we'll start that in the next week or so here. But yeah, I've been really itching to play some role-playing games. And that's pretty much what's been on my mind lately. I have been doing some miniature wargaming too. Not as much of that as I usually do either, but I did just get finished doing a big American Civil War campaign in 6mm at my local historical club, which I've been a part of for over a decade now. And that was a lot of fun. I'll do a whole video on that if any of you guys are interested in the miniature wargaming stuff. I'll go into more detail about all that. The campaign worked out really well. What other things I've been working on and have on my mind? Well, we haven't been. My face group has not been gaming in a while, and I've been wanting to run a game. So, and to be honest, I'm a little tired of D&D in all its forms. I love D&D, but we just played it to death. I've played it to death, and I want to do something different. So I was just kind of being bored, looking around on YouTube, and Bear the Gen X GM, who I really like his channel. If you don't know his channel, go check it out. He's just straight, good up, very honest, and legit content. I really dig it. Also, he's got good taste in games. But one game he was talking about and he's been running is the D6 system. And I haven't ran or even thought about the D6 system in a long time. And me and the D6 system have a really interesting history for this reason. And I'm going to grab this book. This right here, the Star Wars role-playing game by Weston Games. This is kind of what everybody remembers the D6 system for. This wasn't my original copy, but this was the book I bought back in the day. I think from Hobbytown, USA, because that's usually as a kid and a teenager. That's usually where I bought my stuff. And actually, this was the first real role-playing game I think I played, if I can remember right. It's a little hazy at this point. It's been a while, but I think this is the first role-playing game I actually properly played. Now, that's not to say that's not the first role-playing game I was introduced to. Dungeons & Dragons was the first role-playing game I was introduced to, but I didn't actually, I didn't have all the books. I didn't have all the information. I didn't really know how a role-playing game was played. All I had, I've told this story before, but when I was first introduced to gaming, one of my friends had the Monster Manual and showed me the Monster Manual. There's a whole story to that, and I'll make a video about that, actually, if you guys are interested. Actually, maybe for the next video, because I like hearing people's stories about how they got into gaming and stories of the days of yore and whatnot. But long story short, I was 9 or 10, and I kind of got into all the gaming stuff at the same time. And it was actually Warhammer 40,000 that I was introduced to first by another friend, a lifelong friend of mine. He's still a very, very close friend, even though he lives clear across the country now. We still keep in contact, talk every week, but we met through that. And he had a Warhammer 40,000 catalog, and my other friend in that class, which was 3rd or 4th grade, he was like, "Oh, well, you like that? Well, I'll bring this book tomorrow. I got this really cool book. I think it's a game, and I think you'll really like it. The art's awesome." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So he brings this, the Monstrous Compendium, the AD&D 2nd edition Monstrous Compendium, which I do not have the Monstrous Compendium. I had the Monstrous Manual, but it was the one in the binder. And he brings that, and I was just blown away. The art and the ideas behind it. And I knew it was a game, but I didn't really know how it played. And, he was telling me that it's a game, but he doesn't really know the rules. He was an artist, even back then as a kid. I don't talk to that guy anymore. I haven't talked to him since middle school, but he was a really good artist from what I remember for his age, and he was really into art. And that was the reason he got the book. And to be honest, it was the art that turned me on. And but I was flipping through it, and I realized, hey, this is a game, and whatever. But we didn't know how it played. I didn't know anything about the other books, so I just made up my own game. But anyway, so that was my introduction to Dungeons and Dragons, and it wasn't too long after that I was introduced to some people that actually play Dungeons and Dragons, and they, show me how to play it. But the first role-playing game I bought and played was the Star Wars role-playing game, and it was this book, and I bought the it was a box set, and it came with a bunch of fold-up paper miniatures and stuff, which I do not have anymore. The only reason I bought that box set was for the miniatures and things, but and this book, I think it probably was the current version at the time, But this was my introduction to Star Wars role-playing game in the D6 system, and it instantly clicked with me as a kid, 9 or 10 years old. And I really haven't thought about it too much. Off and on through the years, it gets brought up. I'm like, oh, yeah, So I'm very nostalgic for the D6 system. I did run Star Wars D6 a few years ago. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago with my current group, and they really liked it, I think. It didn't last very long for whatever reason. But I've gotten hooked on this idea of doing D6 again. And also I was introduced to this, which is Mini6, which is, I didn't know about this till recently. I just printed off the rules. I'm going to buy a hard copy here pretty soon. But the rules are free. Go on Drive-Thru-RPG. This is a really, really nice little system here. It's a really condensed version of the D6 system. It's more, I would say it's more of a toolkit, but it is really, really good. And I'll do a little review on it. So yeah, so I want to run something with the D6 system, specifically with Mini6 and with some house rules and tweaking. And things I've been thinking about is maybe doing I've got a couple ideas. So one is doing the BPI, the Bureau of Paranormal Investigations. So it'd be in the 1930s, like 1936, just before, a few years before World War II. And the player characters are agents for this new top secret Bureau of Paranormal Investigation that's spearheaded by the British and the Americans, and the French are also involved, and maybe some other countries that are friendly to them. And so the characters are paranormal investigators, and they go around the world, handling strange paranormal disturbances. So that sounds like a cool idea for a game. Another idea I had is I really want to do some swords and sorcery fantasy, and so I'm considering that too, and I actually started thinking about that. I've been thinking about that for the last couple of weeks, and I started writing some notes today actually for that. So that's the other idea I had. And speaking of that idea, me and Chase, we've been discussing it for quite a few years now, and we finally are starting to do it. And another thing for you guys to look forward to is we have started working on our own games in hopes of publishing them. I'm not going to talk too much about that right now. I'll talk a little bit about it, but I'm not going to show. We don't have much at this point. We do have some things, but I also want to save this for future videos to discuss, which you guys have to look forward to. But the sword and sorcery thing is one thing I'm thinking about publishing with me and Chase's stuff. If he helps me he probably will collaborate with me on that. I'm not sure. But what I'm thinking is doing that for specifically for the D6 system, because it is open gaming. It's OGL. They have their own OGL license. And so I might work on that and publish it myself. It's just a little supplement or a full-blown game with some modifications under the D6 system. Something I've been thinking about. The main game we are working on right now, and it's actually me and Chase have been working on it for the past few weeks, and we have a alpha playtest in-house right now, which in the future it will be available to you guys for playtest as well. We are working on a mobster role-playing game. Right now, the working title is Wise Guys, the role-playing game of organized crime. And the general idea is it is a mobster game. The base setting will be in the 1930s, of course, in the heyday of Prohibition and Al Capone and all that stuff. But the basic idea of the game is that you start off as a hoodlum and you work your way up into the mob and work your way up through the ranks to become a boss yourself, maybe. The other things we're thinking about doing with that game, it's not just a 1930s mobster game. is we're going to do like a whole city creation kit with an example, a full example of a fictional city. We're really going to encourage you to make your own fictional city. I mean, you can use a real city too, like Chicago or New York or whatever. But I really like that idea because it gives you more freedom to do what you want to do with your game. You can create your own mobster universe, you know. Like I said, the base game's going to be in the 1930s probably at this point. That might change, but right now that's what we have in mind. And in the future, we're hoping to do some supplements for the game. So I'll probably do one book that will do like post-prohibition, so like from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, or maybe I'll split those up. We've got some other wacky ones like Renaissance mobsters, right? Because that's really the roots of the mob is Sicily, and I think that'd be really cool. You know, swashbuckling and duels and vendettas and stuff. And another idea is we have mobsters and fantasy meshed together. But these are all just working ideas right now. Like I said, we do have an alpha that is pretty much hammered out, and we'll be starting to play test that, if not this week, then next week. And I'll give you guys more updates as we work on it, and y'all be the first to know. We have some other games that are right now are just ethereal ideas, but some of them are really good ideas, and we might do in the future. So something to look forward to. Hopefully we actually work that out and actually get it done. But I think we will. We're pretty determined to do it. And we've been talking about it for a long time. What else have I been working on? That's really about it, other than work. I'm going on 3 weeks straight of working right now, so I'm pretty tired. We will be improving the quality of the videos too. I did get a new camera here, but I still need to improve the lighting situation and everything. But I'm not really worried about it. I don't think you guys are either. You're not, you know, if anybody knows me, I'm not a fancy dude. But we will be upping the quality a little bit on a lot of this stuff as we go on. Yeah, so that's pretty much about it. I just wanted to give you guys an update to let you know, hey, we're still here, we're still alive, and that we have a lot of plans for this channel. And hopefully you guys will stick around. I know some of you guys are probably going to be upset to hear that we're not just going to do Grognar Grumbles all the time. But like I said, we do have a new podcast, and we might be recording that this week. We're even considering doing that live. So this first time we'll probably just record it. But in the future, we might do that live once we have a set day and everything like that. But anyways, hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.